Look at some examples of different business models. We're going to have a look at 4 different performing arts companies and 2 individuals from other areas of the creative industries, because I think it's quite interesting to look at what other people are doing. So first of all, Shunt are a collection of 10 artists formed in 1998. They're based at the Shunt Vaults in London. They have quite a small ORFO, regularly funded organisation grant from the Arts Council. So they only employ 2 core staff, and all other staff members, including, the artists involved, are all employed on a flexible basis. Their business model has always been based on having a space. First of all, they were in Bethnal Green, and now they're in the Shunt Vaults in London Bridge. The space is used for rehearsals, it's used for performances. They have a members that bar there called the Shunt Lounge, and they make money with entrance fees to the club. They make money on the bar and also through hiring out the space. They always try and keep the cost quite low by using volunteers as much as possible as well. So they're quite an interesting business to have a look at. Simple 8 are a fairly new company formed in 2004. They're a collective of 8 actors, writers and directors, and their motto is simple stories, simply told. Their first show was Les Enfants de Paradis in 2006 at the Arcola Theatre. They also do regular rehearsal readings called Lunch Date, based at the Trafalgar Studios, also in London. Their business model is totally self-funded. They didn't want to try and compete for Arts Council funding when they were starting off. So they fund their performances through a separate organisation called Corporate, which uses the 8 company members to perform at events, at parties and various corporate functions. So that's generally how they generate their income, with a set percentage of the money generated going to the individuals who do the event and the rest going to the company. Punchdrunk are a fantastic company run by artistic director Felix Barrett, and they started in 2000, and all of their first productions were fully funded through sponsorship. Felix is a fairly charismatic character, and he was very good at sort of talking to people and getting money out of them and raising their money. So that's how they initially got started, and they have kept that idea of getting corporate sponsors in for a lot of their work as well, because their work is extremely accessible, it's extremely entertaining, and it's very I think appealing to corporate sponsors. Since 2003 with Sleep No More, they have received Arts Council funding for their productions, so that's become part of their business model as well. So Blast Theory are a group of 6 artists, formerly based in Brighton, now in London, and they combine multimedia performance with interactive media and online and mobile technologies. They do some really interesting collaborations with people such as the University of Nottingham, with the BBC, British Telecom and the Science Museum. And their business model, they've really quite uniquely placed themselves, I think, in the performing arts industry. They are an ORFO, but much of their income and their funding comes from university partnerships, from technology companies such as Nokia, and, from EU funds. And I think they've really, carved out quite a niche for themselves in terms of combining technology with performance. Now, looking outside the performing arts industry, Natasha Westco is an artist and illustrator that I've come across quite recently. And she is a really interesting example of using, her intellectual property to generate income and to create a sustainable business model for herself. So not only is she going down the normal sort of fine art route of painting your pictures and getting them into a gallery and selling them and losing 50% commission, she also uses her artworks and her illustration, and she licenses them, her designs, in a variety of ways and to a variety of different clients. So she makes quite a lot of money that way. Another part of her sort of unique positioning and her business model is using social media such as Facebook and Twitter to market herself. And I think she does this in a really interesting way. And if you want to find out more about Natasha, do have a look at her website. But also Mark McGuinness from Lateral Action has a really interesting interview with her. So I've provided the link to that as part of the links as for this module. So do have a read. And last but not least, we have Michael Grosset, who is a chap I came across a couple of years ago, and he's really inspiring. He calls himself a corporate poet. And essentially, he had a very difficult upbringing in Brixton, and he went to prison. And when he was in prison, he found out he was rather good at writing poetry. And essentially he sees his poem and himself as a product. You know, he sells workshops, he does 12-week performance courses, he does a lot of work with young people on personal development, on social and life skills, because he comes from a place of, you know, knowing what they're about. He does mentoring, he gets paid for public speaking, and his clients, you know, are a combination of, you know, schools and education, local government, and also conferences. So he's well worth a look as well.